So when first-time managers get into a job and they are promoted to the position of manager, suddenly they find themselves to be inadequate for their position, and the prominent of all those issues are communication. And when one says communication, they think it is about English. It is not about English. I call that as pattern of response. And why it is important, pattern of response? Because this is the medium with which he can express as to what work he has done and how he has been achieving pleasure. So, hi, this is Sangeeta again, and I'm a leadership growth mentor, and I help first-time managers to get over all these problems and myths that they have been harboring in their minds. Communication. If I ask them, can you tell me in Hindi about whatever you have done? English, if you don't know, that's fine. They can't still say. Why? Because they don't know what to say. So the what to say is very important. That is why communication, and you know now why it is so very important. So see you in the next video, how to deal with and what are the aspects of communication. So when we say communication, partly it is English, of course. So what do we know about English? If these English, of course, but what are the other two aspects that I call as response, pattern response? You know, it is about three things, which is process of better communication, strategic communication, and your communication during applying for a job. Have you ever heard about your communication or anybody dealing with why communication is so very important in application of a job? Do you know that 90% of people who have been laid off in COVID or otherwise, they cannot find a job, alternative job immediately. Why? Because they haven't recorded their performance result wise, outcome wise. And this world is moving towards outcome. That is why they cannot convince, they cannot feel the conviction inside to tell or convey somebody about their expertise. Don't you think that is why that is the basis of communication rather than English? And even if you can communicate whatever you have done in Hindi or in any vernacular language, people would appreciate that. So let us come down to what communication is in that matter. So when I say that this is process of this is pattern of response, then the first thing is when you communicate, the first three things is first already we have discussed to some extent. It is about knowing the subject because that is what people don't know. The second is the style of communication. How do you present yourself? So there are 5 aspects of communication and which style you will adopt for this particular moment. We will come to that in a moment and know your audience. The same subject, it will be very different for different audience. Do you agree about that? So when I say style of communication, what do I mean by style of communication? Are you a person who is kind of a little dominant type, or you are a person who is a bit sociable? So there is no right or wrong because it depends on the situation where you are in. But if you are a dominant, if you are going towards dominance, it is a negative trait in any case, but you need to be aware of this situation. If you are dominant, you want I lose. If you are not able to win, then you say I lose, so you also lose. So that is what is called as passive aggressive, and aggressive is I win, you lose. Both of this is kind of dominant personality. And when you are sociable, I lose, you win. It is self-sabotage kind of thing. And assertive is I win, you win. So both the situation, whenever you are in a communication, the main thing is one should focus for the win-win situation. You also win, the other person also wins. That is what managerial quality is. And also assertiveness. You have to be very sure about whatever you are saying. It is not that you are just protecting the other person or anything like that. You have to tell what you mean by whatever you are saying. That is the style of dominant communication, which is what I mean. Very essential part of your style when you are communicating with the HR person also. They will be observing you, how you are communicating, what is your body language. And many people, despite having a knowledge, they present themselves to be fairly stupid. I am sorry to say that. But can you be a little careful about how you present yourself? We will learn that also. When I say that communication is about not only speaking, it is about three other aspects as well. It is about reading, listening, and writing. Unless you do that, your speaking will not be forceful or convincing at all. And then when I say that, some people ask me question, what do I what do I listen to? What do I read about? What do I write on? And what I speak. So, what do you listen to? So, how do you listen to first? The subject you know, be attentive, and after you listen to it, you have to summarize that within your mind, that is what paraphrasing is all about. Reflect your feelings, what you have thought of, whatever you have listened to, that is one part of it. Whatever your feelings are there, that you need to express. And in order to understand what is your feelings, whether you are accepting those feelings or not, that is another thing. So if there is a mismatch also, you need to record that and have probing questions. Whatever you have heard, it is not absolute. There should be some other questions also that you need to know, and ask reflective questions to know more. That is how you will find out what should be the next subject is. So listening is very important in that sense. After listening, read your subject, any subject you choose, write on that, whatever you have listened to, write that on paper. And when you speak, you be very particular about your tonality, as I say, and it has to be crisp. So that is why you have to know how much time do you have. So within that, you have to fix your whatever response you are giving. So that is very important. Otherwise, you will go on rattling endlessly, and the other person won't have the patience. And this is very essential part of communication, and how you have your image in the mind of the other person. The next part of the process of better communication is knowing the audience. So who come in your audience? One is the boss, the next is super boss, your client of the market, your peers, your juniors, and the organization. Now, what does the boss wants to know? As your presentation or whatever you are making, that should contain as to what worked well, what were existing resources, what innovation you did, what threats were there, and what results achieved. When you speak to your super boss, he will be concerned about expectation versus achievement, how much you targeted and how much you achieved. What were, if you achieved more, then what were the scale up factor? Then, if you have built on your previous work, then how you have done that consolidation factor? Then, if you have made some change with whatever you have done, what is the theory of change? Then, what were the challenges and what are the succession? If you are not there, how you will take care of, how anybody can take over or replace you? That is what a super boss is concerned about. Then your client is concerned about the end results, the resources that they have provided, whether those are optimally used, or if they are very happy, then what will be the next proposal? What is the proposal for the next stage? If it is your colleagues of the same level, then they would be interested in knowing what are the existing opportunities that you had and leveraged, about what challenges you negotiated, who were partners in change, and what were the process outline. They will be interested in knowing this because they would be also executing similar projects or tasks. And then juniors would be interested in knowing how to get trained so that they can take over your job in future. What are the challenges versus opportunities? Those are there. How the mission is accomplished, and that is what they would be doing. Because as juniors, they are fresh into the organization and they don't yet know as to how they are going to work towards the mission. So that they will be interested in. And what are the growth possibilities? Given that they accomplish this task, what you have accomplished and how can they accomplish all this? The other is organization. One needs to keep a document as a process document so that there is organizational learning happening. So what are the, how the process document is made, how the resource, what are the resources required for this, for executing this task, what capacity building took place, what outcomes achieved, what mission accomplished, and what vision addressed. So in knowing the audience, there are 6 kinds of audience, and each of them required a different kind of explanation. The next is the strategic communication. As you can see in the screen, how do you respond to your situation? That is a vast subject, of course, but it is about whether you are working within 8 hours of your office work or you are working beyond that. The next is positioning, which is a very big subject. As you can see, positioning is about 5 stages. So subtle assertion is one subject. Subtle assertion is who you are, your background in 3 lines, whether you are able to do this or not, what you are passionate about, 3 things which might or might not yet related to your work. How can you solve the problem? Experience plus inclination that you have to tell. Why are you are the best person, your drive, the dream you want to achieve, and the task that leads your path. So that is what subtle assertion is. Who you are, then strong conviction. You have to tell everything very strongly. Who you are, what incidents makes you convinced that you can give your best. What have you acted on so far? How can you replicate your prior experience? Why you think that your trick will help? So this is the strong conviction that you have to talk about. Then subtle obsession. You have to tell them that you are not any ordinary person. You have certain kind of passion within you which requires, which is why you are qualified to do this task. So who you have become in last so many years that you have worked. What opportunities you are perceiving? How can you negotiate to include so as to expand your network and network? Why you like that service to bring into current profile? So this is how you put your subtle obsession. Then subliminal orientation is the second, fourth thing, who the other person can be. Now that you are done with yourself, you now try to impress the other person, whoever is interviewing you. So what is the basis of collaboration if the other is willing to join in, or you are willing to join them, or both of you are collaborating? How the other person can consolidate his position? What you would like the other person to get empowered? And when you speak this, be genuine. It should not be like, say, just words which you don't feel like telling. And the fifth is synergizing the conversation. Who the partnership can make you to be. So if you come to this stage where there is a team happening there, and if the interviewing person is your boss, which is normally the boss will be, so how you will partner with your boss and what it will make you do. What dreams can come true in this collaboration? How the win-win situation can be formulated between you and your prospective boss? Why you should put the other person into prominence? So why you are saying that that person also wins? So this is the second part of positioning, the second part of strategic communication, which you should be very careful about. Then the third is comprehension. Be detailed, elaborate adequately. This is very essential. Making out the gist of entire conversation. You know, I have seen people who actually talk on and on, but they can't make the point. So you have to be very concise, very crispy, and you should hold to the bottom line, and you should also know the top line. So bottom line is the amount of profit you make, and top line is the amount of revenue you make. This is kind of an example, but we can go detail into this. So this gist has to be there in any communication that you are making, whether it is a presentation or something. Crux of the matter, what is the way forward? What are the action points, immediate action points? And of course, how to go about it, the process, right? So this is the comprehension side. Somebody else will have some kind of ideas, but you being in your position, even the boss also asks what to do, you have to give them some idea. It is from your side, what you intend to do is what makes you a leader. You know, they also will come up with their idea, but you are not the person who is always taking orders. You are now giving your opinion as well. The fourth is presentation. Whatever you have been saying, that has to be given in, say, affinity diagram, interrelationship diagram. This is very, very essential of your strategic communication. This is what makes you a strategic communicator. So you have to be very analytical, and these are not very difficult analysis, but this you need to present in your presentation, and there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kinds of analysis and diagrams which you need to learn, and you have to put this. And if you know this, how to analyze, how to put the diagram, then it becomes pictorial, infographic, and makes the comprehension better. Then the fifth thing is email. Email should be 5 lines at the most. Clear subject line has to be there. It has to be responded immediately. It is not like that after 2 months or 2 days you should respond. It has to be, response has to be immediate, and there should be no mistake. So read it twice, thrice. Make it as concise as possible. So within 5 lines you have to tell all your thing, whatever you need to tell. Make a friendly and receptive tone rather than being explicit on the subject. Because you are being concise, you also need to be very friendly. So this is a skill. Email writing is a skill. Metacognitive skill. So how to connect. These are the very essential part of the communication, which is not reading, writing anything, but it is everyday behavior. There are so many C's out here. See, 10 C's are there. So connect, value your people, respect and care, be genuine. That is about connect. In career, trust them with challenging tasks, allow them to suggest exciting choices, clarity, vision and goal, and your perspective. How do you see the vision and mission statement? Convey your expectation and convey your feedback as well. Receive also the feedback. Congratulate on their achievements, recognize them, reward them. Contribute, allow them, and show them so that they can contribute. You have to control the flow and the pace. That is what your job is. It is not about controlling the people. And collaborate, trust them, and emphasize cohesiveness. This is very essential. And credibility, the results and the behaviors. Always be sure about the results and how it is achieved, those behaviors. And confidence, high performance and capacity building has to be the end result after this task is undertaken. So engaging with the colleague. Then set yourself great goals. That is how you inspire. Preparation of 5 minutes. You have to prepare for 5 minutes before you speak. And that is the process you have to give to your juniors also. And feedback, progress feedback, these are great opportunities. And keep people interested, keep people inspired, keep people informed, and keep people involved. Monitor your performance. How the team performance, it is your performance as well. So, and look for better options whenever there is a choice, there is a planning to be made. People in your team will come from various backgrounds. Some will come from risk background, some will come from problem background, mistake background, wrong result background, bad idea, crisis. This has been their experiences. They will tell something and you can put this as plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. That will make your job easier and you will be prepared for any eventuality. Journal on immediate tasks and receiving self-questioning in a better way. These are the metacognitive skills. And so we will go to the job application in the next video. Let me stop this video here. So the third part is job application. This can be the first part as well. So every job application has to go with either with a cover letter or approach letter. Actually, approach letter doesn't accompany a resume. It is where the job is unpublished. The job is not published and yet you are inquiring, exploring whether there is a vacancy existing. So how do you do that? You do that with an approach letter. And cover letter is where there is a job, published job, and you are applying for the published job along with your resume. Now, the cover letter has to be according to the job that is being applied for. In case of resume, so your resume only receives 6 seconds of attention from the person who is looking at it. So make it in 2 pages, make bold and very clear, very concise. Don't write verbal. Don't be very verbose. So outline your strengths and details, email, phone number at the heading. 2-line description about you. Responsibility and achievement in each job, 7 points each. Educational qualification, trainings, membership and affiliations and references. You know, if you have 7 kind of job job experiences, then you must be knowing that it will be very challenging to put those strengths in a very concise way. But that has to be outcome based. What outcome you have achieved. So that has to be written in the resume, and the details to be explained during the interview, not described in the resume. But in the resume, it has to be very eye catching, and this should be the hook that the other person will ask you questions. So these are the three processes of communication which will make you resourceful. And these are very, very important, as you can see. So you have to spend some time practicing on each of the aspects that I have described, and this requires some training. You have to prepare those kind of practice on those frameworks, and then you can put them as your reference document so that you can utilize these reference documents time and again. So that is all about communication.